How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I, for one, am stoked to be back. It's been a little over 2 months since we last recorded. I think our last recording was exactly, you said, 7 weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
Good God, that was a long time. But it was necessary. We had a lot of stuff going on in our lives, me in particular. I was getting married, so that involved the preparation for the wedding, plus the preparation for the honeymoon. And then we got to set up a little sweet studio in my house, too. So there's been a lot going on. But what about you guys? How's life been? What's been going on?
Well, we obviously were there for your bachelor party, which was part of this break as well. That was the part you left out.
Yeah, I left that part out on purpose.
We head out
trying to forget
Scottsdale and had a great time. It was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks to shout out to Megan's dad for the house rental.
It was so much fun.
It was amazing. And you always think, like, I was worried. I was like, Arizona, I'm not good with hot weather. I'd probably pass out. Then we get there and it's like perfect weather. It was like 80 degrees every day.
It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah, we brought the California weather with us.
It was nice. And I mean, it was almost too cold to even get in the pool.
Well, for Tyler.
Well, for Tyler, yeah.
That's any pool, though.
We have a pushing 80-pound friend, Tyler, that soaking wet is maybe 90 pounds. He swims fully clothed.
Fleece line jacket, that merino wool.
You know, that weekend showed me how competitive every single one of us is.
Oh, God.
The minute we walk into the house rental, there's a horseshoe pit in the backyard. Instantly, everybody's splitting into teams and like competing at horseshoes at that. And of course, Danny, Mr. Homeschooled, had a whole story of how his growing. No, go ahead, Danny. Tell him about how all-star.
We had a regulation horseshoe pit in our backyard of our country home in Escalon. Yeah, it was regulation measured off. I swear, my dad and my uncles poured about 8,000 pounds of cement. No joke. Into those pads on the side. I think they dug the holes a little too deep. Now looking back on it, but yeah, we used to rake the pits for my uncles, and they'd throw us tips because they'd play for money. They'd get lights set up at night. We never had the lights set up to start. We'd always have to go scrounge for them and set them up.
Sounds about right.
They were the same lights like we used when the goats had to give birth and all that kind of stuff, like middle of the night farm lights, you know. So we'd set those up. Oh yeah, you have to. kind of multi-purpose everything. But yeah, so I grew up playing horseshoes, and so since I saw a horseshoe pit and it was shorter than regulation, so I was like, okay. This is gonna be like JV.
It's so ridiculous because the rest of us are all just trying to think of like cornhole and stuff like how do I get this horseshoe to get across there and not look like an idiot? But I just thought it was funny because I mean that was the first thing we did, not like check out the rooms or see what we should do later on. We saw competition and ran right for it. But I guess that's us in a nutshell. Is too competitive for our own good.
We've had whole episodes on this. We've talked about competition and how intense we get.
Yeah. Well, shit, think about it. We don't even just take it into sports. It's freaking life, too. One of us got married, then the next one had to get married, and then I had to get married. Okay. Jesus. Don't tell me I have about competition, but...
How big was that ring? All right.
Yeah.
How much you spend? All
right. It's all big dick competition.
That's all it is, yeah. Just measuring.
But so we had the bachelor party and then obviously the wedding at the Century downtown in Modesto. If you guys don't know what that is, you guys should check it out. Super nice venue. Probably the most chill venue either. Well, maybe not. The rehearsal night, it didn't feel chill. That lady that was helping us stressed us the fuck out. But the venue itself, super cool. So obviously, Trev, you did a little courtside wedding, right? So you guys didn't check out like venues or like anything like that. Danny, you're not married yet, so you don't know. So the worst part about getting married is trying to find where the fuck you're going to get married.
The planning freaks me out, man. That's the part that's like, oh my gosh.
Exactly.
He has a ring, but he's just like, ooh.
Yeah. So one, you got to find somewhere you're going to do it. You got to make sure you get the right dates or whatever. In your head, you're like, fuck, when is it raining? When is it not raining? Got to make sure you get that. And then obviously the price of everything. So we're going venue to venue trying to find like the right place for us. And then we have a budget in mind, but we're not sure. This isn't something that you just like, it's not like on Amazon where you go on there and look at prices and compare stuff every weekend. So we go venue to venue trying to find a place. And the first place we go to was like 30,000 and they gave you like nothing. It was literally just like, oh, yep, this is our back area. You get it all to yourself. 30,000 for nothing.
No tables, no chairs.
Right? And so Megan are like, oh, okay, so I guess this is how it's going to be. All freaking out.
That's your first one. Just that's your experience.
So we go check out like one or two more, and then we go to Century. And price-wise, it was pretty close to the same. I mean, it was pretty expensive, but the best part about it was they do everything for you. They take care of the floral, tables, chairs, decorations, everything. And we're like, what? We don't have to do anything? And they're like, yeah, no, we take care of it all. So Megan's like, sign us up, done. So it took like stress threw it out the window. But then the nice thing was, for the wedding part, that's how it felt the whole time. Like, we literally waited till the wedding day, and that's when like everything was crunch time. Like, oh, okay. And it was all just stuff that we had to do, like get ready. Had nothing to do with the wedding.
Yeah.
So you guys were there for the wedding. Obviously, you're the groomsman. Trevor got to be my officiant for the wedding. That was super
Killed
cool.
it.
Yeah. I feel bad because when you're doing your thing, I wasn't paying attention to the thing you were saying.
I'll watch this later.
Yeah, I'm hoping they didn't get the part where I wasn't paying attention in the fucking video.
Please repeat after me. What?
Yeah, you did do that.
I knew I was gonna screw that up too. It's like you go into the wedding, you're like, all right, I want everything to be perfect. I'm all calm, collect. I'm gonna be able to knock this out. And then you're like, repeat after me, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? High school? Like, I'm not repeating shit. It was
With
all
this
bad.
ring? What?
Yeah, I wish I would have. In hindsight, I wish I would have rehearsed that part before, but I wasn't thinking about that because the whole time before the wedding, we're playing FIFA downstairs, and you guys are kicking my ass at FIFA. So
He almost didn't get married. That was the part that that we should talk about.
Yeah.
His FIFA life was not going good down there. Even the photographers were going,
Making
oh
fun
boy.
of him.
talk about full circle good. Talking about competition. Can't even freaking be at my wedding without it turning into a competition.
Just how it works.
But I had a great time. I mean, the wedding itself was pretty awesome. I mean, I don't think I'm going to have another one, so I'm hoping that was the big bang. And then the honeymoon. You guys would have fucking loved the honeymoon. Have you guys ever been to Mexico?
No,
Nope.
sir.
Oh, man. You guys got to go.
Nerds.
Well, Trev, you've vacationed before. Where was the only place where have you gone?
Not the only place.
Where was the only place
Nah,
you
that's
went?
like-
God, I'm an international traveler now.
Well, I got my passport now.
I'm gonna stamp that motherfucker.
Like I told you last week, most of my trips was with my parents, and like I was very spoiled, I guess you could say, as far as vacations go with my parents, because we went everywhere with them.
Mhm.
Like I've been to Hawaii, I've been to Vegas, I've been to New York, but the biggest one, we went to Spain when I was 13, right before high school. So that was by far like the craziest trip. Just, I mean, the language barrier, just the different culture.
That's so weird. The language barrier is super weird. And they were just speaking Spanish, and I'm just sitting there like, I kind of know what you're saying, but I'm hoping you're just saying, do you want a drink?
Cerveza!
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just like California, right?
Yeah. What about you, Danny? Where you been?
That's Netherlands, Spain.
You went to the Netherlands?
No, not Spain. Netherlands, France, Italy, just landing and kind of chilling for a little bit and then going to the next place. But I mean, I did touch the ground there, so I
That
have
counts.
been.
I guess that counts.
Yeah, Canada, and then I feel like Hawaii's almost another country sometimes too. But yeah,
I mean, you could argue that it is.
yeah, you really could. It's you don't feel like you're in the United States. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, and then I'm at like 33 or 34 states now out of the 50.
Nice.
I'll tell you what. After doing this whole resort vacation bullshit for the honeymoon, we're doing it again. It's like the most addicting thing you could do. Everything was all inclusive, so everything's for free. Well, I mean, you paid for it beforehand, but when you're there, it's free. It's like putting something on a credit card, you forget that you paid for it because you don't see it going there anymore.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, man. The whole time, you literally go up to a bar and just like drink after drink, and then you just walk away, leave
Yeah.
a couple bucks for
That
a
was
tip.
weird, I
but
bet, right? Like that was super weird to like feel like, how do I tip? I don't know how much of this bill actually
exactly.
would be.
So we're sitting there the first night at dinner. I'm like, all right, we're gonna have dinner. It'll be nice. We'll have some appetizers, whatever. So we order all our food and everything, and I'm sitting there with Megan, and I'm just drinking my beer. And I'm like, do I wait for a bill? Like, what do I do here? And she's like, no, they don't bring a bill. It's like, it's all paid for. And I'm looking around at other tables, seeing, we literally waited for 2 other tables to get up and leave before we did, just to see how it goes down. People just like slip a couple of bucks underneath their like drink, put their cup on it, and then walk out. I saw somebody do that. I was like, oh, okay.
That looks gangster. I need to do
Yeah.
that.
I was like, do you do it like in the movies where you just like shake their hand and slip them a 20 or something?
And drop it. And then,
Yeah, let me tell you, in Mexico, you drop a 20 down, you're like a god there, and they'll remember your name, they remember everything you were
Is it
drinking.
straight up like the Family Guy reference? Like when he has like $7 and he's in the country and he becomes like the king of the country down in somewhere in South America or something.
Yeah,
It's like that.
Exactly.
Money's
like that.
just different. To us,
Dude.
it's nothing, and to them, it's
It is so
incredible.
Weird. Danny, can you shut that window? Somebody,
Yeah, sure.
some jackass is fucking doing his lawn at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Almost 5 on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
It's
almost Sunday Night Football time.
Freaking disrespectful. But
need
do
to
they
hang-
not know we're recording?
We need
right
to
now?
hang up an on-air sign right here.
Yeah, that's gonna be my next purchase. The
Yeah,
studio is not
do it.
done, but
Yeah, speaking of that, yeah, this is awesome.
yeah,
The studio.
I wish I could show you guys all.
I put a picture of it
How-
on live on our Instagram.
Even
and
better.
I'll put
There
some
you go.
Pictures up.
It's a work in progress, but it's something. Now that we are back for good. So all of our fans should be excited.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll be releasing weekly again for sure.
weekly, definitely. I don't have anything going on anymore. I'm
Nope.
pretty much dead to the world. I've gotten married.
You're done for life now.
I was even telling my dad, he's like, well, what now? And I was like, nothing. It's
I'm
like,
gonna
it's
golf
nice.
a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna travel.
You get a house, you get married. I mean, kids at some point, but even Megan and I talked about it. I think we both kind of were on the same page of wanting to wait a bit. We want to at least enjoy this whole being married and whatnot.
It's a good stage in your life, man.
It just, I don't know.
You got a few more all-inclusive resorts to travel to.
Exactly. And I mean, I really want to go back.
Yeah, so traveling now that you've got a taste of it.
Yeah, I got a
It's
nice
freaking
taste.
badass, right? Like,
Dude, let me tell you my stress level of traveling overseas. Just traveling.
traveling out of the country. Let's say out of the country,
Out of the
or
country.
long
It's
distance,
like-
more than
it's
1,000
like- I
miles.
don't know if I went
more
over
than
a
a day's
sea, but-
drive.
We went over a wall.
Yeah. Huge wall. This wall is going to be huge. Anyways, so when we get there, they do the whole free carry-on bag and stuff like that. So the first plane we get on, we had a layover in LA, so we had to go to LA and then from LA to Mexico, which wasn't bad. But so our plane to LA, they didn't have room for our bags. It was a small plane, so they're like, "Oh, we'll do a free check bag. We'll take care of your bags." I'm like, "All right, cool." So Megan goes and sits down, and I take care of both of our bags, and I go get them checked, and I wasn't paying attention to what the lady was saying, and so I didn't know if I was supposed to pick up my bags in LA and then recheck them to go to Cancun, or if they were just going to automatically go straight to Cancun.
They automatically did, didn't they?
Yes, but I didn't know that.
And you stressed out.
Yes, because I didn't tell Megan that I didn't know.
So you're
until
over
we got
there
to
just-
Mexico.
So nobody knew what was going on. is what you're
Absolutely
saying.
nobody knew what was going on except for me. So I'm like in the plane sweating my ass off. So we get to Mexico and I look over at Megan and I was like, so I don't remember if I was supposed to grab the bags in LA or if they're going to be here in Mexico. And she was not happy.
I
with
can
me.
see her face, just like,
Well,
What?
yeah. And we're in Mexico, first time ever being there. We don't
Yeah.
speak Spanish. So even if we were like to freak out about anything, people would just look at us like we're some crazy white people.
Gringos.
Exactly. And Megan's like the white of the white.
yeah,
If you guys don't know Megan, she's like the Southern Belle looking white girl.
yeah. Blonde hair,
Not
very
from
white skin.
Cancun, Mexico.
You might have a chance.
Yeah, I was safe. Yes, I told Megan the whole trip, don't leave the hotel. If you go anywhere, make
I've
sure to take a whistle. That's wrong. I didn't say that, but we thought
He
it.
did.
Yeah, he definitely did. We've all seen Taken. No.
Yeah, exactly. But it all worked out. Luckily, we got to Mexico. The bags ended up being there. I didn't screw up, so Megan didn't kill me. It was great.
Yeah.
But
Gosh.
the flight itself and being there, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, traveling, I've never done it before, obviously. Me and my family just stay, we're very grounded. We stay home. We don't
Local.
like planes.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I would definitely do it again. Next time I
Gosh.
go, I think we wanted to go with like a couple or something though, which sounds weird. Like I've heard of people doing honeymoons with another couple.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, why would you do that? It's so weird. But after like the third day, you get kind of bored of your significant other. And you want to do something else.
Yeah. It breaks it up though a little bit. That's what you're saying. It's
Yeah,
like, it breaks.
I mean,
it up.
okay, yeah.
You guys
Megan's
did-
gonna hear this podcast and be like, "You're such an asshole." But
You're like, it's too late. I got the ring on.
yeah, exactly. It's just, I don't know. It's different. You spend a lot of time together, especially when you're in a hotel like that, because there's only so much you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're literally spending every minute with each other, which is, I mean, I get it. It's your honeymoon. That's what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
But we do that at home too. So it's like, but you have work to break that up.
Yeah.
You're not constantly next to
Yeah.
each
Your
other. the whole
mind's not
time.
occupied by other things over there as it is
Exactly.
here.
So the nice thing was when we were in Mexico, we met a few other couples. I told you guys about this, but met a few other couples from England, and that kind of changed the flow of how the week was going. We got to hang out with other people, have a good time. So it's cool. It was definitely cool. But no plans for any other trips anytime soon. Spending all my money on golf right now. So what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Priorities.
Priorities for sure.
Yeah. But you were talking about all the drinks at the resort, and I just can't stop thinking about that one drink we had in San Francisco last weekend.
The Thrilla in Manila.
Oh my gosh, I've never had a cocktail or any kind of alcohol drink that tasted as non-alcohol and as delicious as that drink, and it had freaking whiskey in it, man.
It didn't taste like whiskey. Trevor, you would have died for this drink, dude. It was bomb.
You would have rang up a huge bill.
What was that place called? Do you remember?
I think it's called PCH.
PCH, yeah, but what did it stand for?
I'll have to look it up.
I'm gonna look it up right now. I tagged them.
Dude,
in my
I was going to say PCP for a second. I'm like,
Dude, we went before, because we went last weekend. We went and saw Rogan stand up in San Francisco at the Masonic, and we went to some food trucks before at the Soma Street Food Park, which we've been telling Megan and Noel about for years, and we finally took them. And it was like, for me and Jackie, it was kind of a light day there. There weren't as many trucks as there normally were, so we were kind of like sad, but Megan and Noel were like,
it was
on
amazing,
cloud nine. But we were there. The cool thing about that place is no parking paid for outside. It's really nice. Like, you just park and you walk past a lot of homeless people, and then you go to this place, and no
what's
joke.
new?
That's in San Francisco though. But it's a cool spot. So we went there first, and then we drove over and parked the car, and then we just kind of started like bar hopping, and we went to like this cool little Belgian place called the Last Drop Tavern. That was cool. We got the night started there with some shots, and then we had seen this place earlier in the night, and it was closed. Like, they only open at like 7 p.m. or something like that. It's like only open for a couple hours cocktail house, and it's all like custom made things. Like, Jackie got one that she didn't care for, but it literally tasted like snap peas. It was called the O Snap, and it was made out of gin, and it tasted like peas.
It had peas in it,
It was crazy. So the drink we had, or the drink Noel was going to order it, and I ended up ordering it, and he ordered something else.
Oh yeah, because this dick. I go to order the drink, and it has a coconut rum or something in it.
It was just coconut. Yeah, just coconut.
It had coconut in it, and I was like, "Is it super strong coconut?" Because I'm not big on the coconut flavor. I think it tastes like suntan lotion.
okay.
I don't know. It just reminds me of lotion. And so I asked the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, it's pretty coconutty." And I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I order a different drink, and then Danny ends up getting this Thrilla in Manila, and he tastes it, and he's like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever had." And I'm like, "Oh, come on,
You son of a bitch.
yeah." So I go and taste it. You can't taste coconut at all. There's no coconut in this thing. So I wanted to find the waiter and be like, "What the hell, man?"
But Noel ended up ordering a bunch of them.
Yeah, we ended up getting a couple more. This is San Francisco pricing for everything too, though.
Yeah,
it was so expensive. It's at a Pacific Cocktail Haven is what it was called.
It's right
so,
around.
PCH.
Right, it's at the bottom of Nob Hill. It's in that area.
But yeah, definitely like $12, $13 drinks, but so worth it. I mean, the minute we got there, I was like, this would be like the perfect first date location. Like, you bring a girl here, she's like, "Oh, this guy's fancy," and then you get her the drinks, and she's like, "Oh, this doesn't taste like coconut," and she'd love it. But it was a great time, and not only that, the freaking menus were on these like journals,
leather-bound journals.
Leather-bound journals.
Yeah,
the minute you open the menu, you're like, "Oh, this is going to be an expensive night."
Yeah. It was fun though, man. That was the best. Those were the best mixed drinks I've ever had.
Yeah,
that was so good.
Definitely a great time.
Then we grabbed a slice and walked up the hill to go watch the show.
Dude, I thought Megan was going to pass out going up those hills.
I was not taking an Uber 0.24 miles. I was not going to. I climbed mountains. We're not doing it.
Dude, those hills.
I would have carried you up.
For people that don't live in San Francisco, those hills suck. Straight up, like, when you're on a treadmill and you put the incline just a little too high, it's like that, but worse.
A lot worse.
That hill's legit.
Yeah, but so worth it. Making it up to the top of the hill and then getting to go watch Joe Rogan.
It was a blast.
It was a blast.
It was a fun few hours, man.
It was. It definitely was. But other than San Francisco, now we're back. We get to record, and we gotta get some topics out there, get the people excited, and keep things going. I wanted to do something different that we can get going and try to make it a new trend. And speaking of trends, we're going to look on Twitter and see what's trending and talk about that. So let me pull up Twitter and see what we got going on.
Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap,
clickety, click, 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 click.
Shout out to Twitter for being our daily newsfeed. Speaking of which, you
And
can find us on Twitter. I believe we have a Twitter. It's at Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I'll have to triple check that, though.
It'll say I'm shocked.
If by the time you listen to it, we will have one.
Yeah, no, we definitely
but
have
I know we
one.
have Instagram for sure. We got Facebook for sure. The website.
We definitely have a Twitter too. I'll have Danny posted on our Facebook. You guys can check it out.
Yeah.
So it looks like on trending, we have Texas and the Sutherland Springs shooting. Of course, another shooting. Here we go.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you guys heard about the shooting?
I only heard about it, but I don't know the details.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, let's dive. Let's do a deep dive into the Twitter trend. So
All right, let us know, Noel, because you seem to be the most educated on what has happened today in this tragedy.
Looks like we had a shooting in Texas. It looks like it was a white guy. That's going to be our number one fact for this. It was a white guy, so everybody can calm down.
And what, 27 people was the last count of dead? Was 27 people were killed?
Yes, sir.
Dude, the one thing that stuck out to me was seeing that age range from 5 years old to 72. That's so insane, man. When kids get killed, that just, that rips your heart out. Especially at a church, man. Like,
they're sitting there praying and like, I want to. And there's apparently they don't know any motive or anything yet.
The shooter's dead, right?
The shooter's dead. It was during the chase.
Oh,
there was a chase.
Was it self-inflicted or did the cops get him?
They don't know.
Oh, that's not out yet.
Yeah.
Shit.
There's another shooter.
Yeah. Jeez, right? Man, we just cannot escape this. You can't. Seriously, these mass shootings are just happening so often now. I mean, we have since we've recorded, we had Vegas happen too. So there's just so much going on.
Maybe Twitter was a bad idea. Just looking at all these tweets. This one from Michael Skolinick. 14-year-old Annabelle was killed in a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. She was the pastor's daughter.
Yeah. Oh my
Her parents were out of town. And she was at church.
You know what? God, that's what.
When your parents are out of town, you don't go to church. So, I mean, that's where it's rough.
That's true. You think those parents are going to like blame themselves? Like, we should have been there. We should have been at church on Sunday instead of vacationing or wherever they were going. I don't know if they were vacationing
This
or
guy
not.
looks like a jacked up version of Bobby from King of the Hill.
Oh, the guy who did it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. If you're telling me some guy that's going to shoot up a church, that's the guy right there.
That's the guy.
Holy crap.
Oh,
so what,
man.
he took an automatic weapon?
AR-15.
AR-15. Yeah.
Well, that'll do it.
You know what's going to happen now? AR-15s are going to be illegal. That's going to be the next step.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely starting that gun control conversation all over again. I mean, this is not too far off from the Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah, we haven't recorded since the Vegas shooting.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough, man. That is super rough. I mean, what do you guys think? What something like this? I mean, should there be gun control? Would it make a difference?
For me, it wouldn't, because just in New York, there was that attack where a guy, rented a truck and ran into a bunch of people. I mean, are we going to start banning vehicles now? I mean,
just vans, just mom vans.
Well, there was talk of banning vehicles in major cities. It's like, are you ridiculous? Like, how can you control that?
Yeah, the thing is if someone's going to do something like that, they're going to find a way to do it. If they really are going to set their mind to inflicting harm on another human being, they're going to find a way to do it. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a truck, whether it's a knife, whether it's a bomb, whether it's an assault weapon like this, it's going to happen. What kind of like Noel, you kind of mentioned off air before we were talking about this, the whole, like, this is Texas. Shouldn't a lot of people have guns? Like, where were the argument for gun control? And I'm on the side that there shouldn't be, like, no weapons allowed. We should still allow weapons,
right?
Because I don't think it works for a country this size on this scale. It might work for smaller countries or smaller control groups, but I don't think it works for a country with 300+ million people. But just in that effect, like, the whole argument of like, well, if everyone has guns, then we'll be able to defend ourselves against a mass shooter. Well, that didn't happen.
Didn't happen here. Didn't happen in Vegas.
It does happen. And the reason we don't hear a lot about that is because it's not a big news story, because no one died.
No, even when it does happen, the stories you hear of somebody protecting somebody with a gun is when it's like an armed robber in a freaking 7-Eleven that probably didn't even want to shoot somebody in the first place, was just trying to get money and run. And some guy that just happened to have a gun ends up taking him out, and then he's the hero. But it's like, when it's these mass shootings, nobody ever has a gun and chases the guy down. It's always the guy dies in a car crash. And just like this, guy dies in a car crash or something in the chase, or the Vegas shooting. The guy takes himself out before anybody can even get to him. It's like, I don't know. That's just a shitty excuse to me. I understand the defending yourself against the government, because, I mean, if you take away the guns from the people, then the people have nothing to defend themselves from the government. That makes sense to me, because you got to, I mean, because we've talked about this before. You take away those rights from the people have nothing, no way to defend themselves. So That makes sense to me. But to say you're gonna defend others like you're this heroic Superman that's gonna go around slinging guns to kill people that are trying to do bad things, that never happens.
Yeah, and just
you can't even shoot somebody in your own home if somebody fucking breaks in, because then you're fucking liable.
Yeah,
No, you have to shoot to kill. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes,
So,
of course.
the thing that gets pushed aside is like the whole psychology of this. People are always have this video game aspect in their minds of like, oh, if someone tried to do something to me, I'd kick their ass. Oh, if someone tried to come at me with a gun, I would just pull it out and bang, 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 get them. What they don't realize, and I was talking with a cop recently about this, he said that people don't understand what happens to your body just physiologically, psychologically when you get into a high stress situation like that. You start blacking out. There are people that have blindness that onsets into their vision just because their body is in such a high level of stress and adrenaline that it doesn't know how to handle it. So you really think if you don't practice, you don't train, you don't actually learn your gun inside and out, you don't learn your weapon inside and out, you're going to be able to stop a situation like this. And this is why situations like this don't get stopped, why there aren't people that have the wherewithal to handle it. Because what's a human being's first reaction when shit's hitting the fan? I mean, unless you're with some of those elite few like Navy SEALs and people like that who've had the proper training, or just you're an incredible human being, your first instinct is to get the fuck out of there.
Right.
I mean, that's even what they tell you when in active shooter situations with your business or in your company. It's like, okay, if there's an active shooter situation, get away. Don't try to do anything else. Just get out.
It's not pull out your 9 and try to take a one-on-one.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and and the issue is too, is like, if you are a person who's going to, you know, commit a crime like this, he honestly went to the place that he's going to inflict the most maximum damage, which is a church, because people aren't going to bring their guns to church, even if they have a concealed carry. They're going to leave them in their car, you know? It's going to be, it's impossible to stop bad people doing bad things with laws. It just is.
Yeah,
you
definitely. And I think, I mean, when you talk about gun control, I don't know if it's necessarily a take them all away completely or just find regulations to make it harder to get guns. And either way, if you're for guns, most of the time it's no, I don't want anything. I want my guns the way they are. I want to be able to go buy them up just like I could go buy a freaking pack of eggs. I want my guns. But I mean, at some point, regulations isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I mean, people always talk about those laws and stuff. The amendments, they were all written and made a long time ago. Things change, which means you got to adapt the rules for the change. You can't just live life how it used to be. But what do I know? I'm just the guy behind the mic.
Yeah, but if you say that, you know, things are different, obviously, yeah, they were shooting with like muskets back then, but the government has even more firepower than they did back then too. So if we're like, you know, because that's the main objective to the right to bear arms, you know, against foreign and domestic. I mean, if the government does go up against us, or we want to fight the government because there's tyranny and everything, they have so much more firepower than what we have. And if they take away our somewhat semi-automatic weapons, all we have is pistols and shotguns. I mean, we're just...
I mean, you would hope that would never get to that point, but...
But, I mean, that's what you have to kind of prepare for, in a sense.
Do we, though?
I mean, they're trying to take away guns, and I've said this before.
So you take away guns from everybody.
Germany did that back in the 30s. They took away guns, too. And what happened? Nazi Germany took over with ease, and they took over almost all of Europe.
There's other places that don't have guns. Canada doesn't have guns. Europe doesn't have guns.
Canada doesn't have a lot of people.
That's very true. Canada has a small amount of people. Australia doesn't have guns. That's the big argument that people that are trying to enforce gun control will use. They'll use the Australia argument. But the issue is Australia never really had a huge issue with mass shootings before this. They had a couple of incidents, and the government stepped in and shut it down. But like I said, it's an easier control group. With Australia, you have the vast majority of their population living in a few cities or living on the outskirts of the country. And they only have 26 million people. I'm somewhere around there, right? I mean, like I said before, the greater LA area has 26 or 27 million people, and that's just a few square miles, really.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder to reenact, especially because we have such a weird setup with our state laws where states can basically go, hell, fuck you to the government sometimes. You know, they can actually do that with their individual rights. And do we want like another civil war where if the government steps in and overrides certain states? Because good luck getting Texas to outlaw guns.
Well, see, and that's, I mean, I think it almost has to be that way because of the population thing. It almost has to be state by state. Because, I mean, you look at Texas. I mean, can't make a law for a state like Texas and then do the same thing for another smaller state. That just wouldn't make sense.
But then can't you just drive over to that state and then get your gun?
I mean, should you be able to? That's the thing.
Well, how they regulate that?
I mean, isn't there like residence rules and stuff like that? It's just like having a driver's license in one state and another.
You can't take guns in national parks. Like when you go camping, like my mom always told me, "Oh, where's your protection if you go hiking or camping?" And I was like, "Well, you have to have a certain permit to do this stuff, but if you're crossing all these state lines, it becomes a huge issue with ownership, and you don't want to get in trouble for just trying to defend yourself and taking a gun. Just don't be stupid, you know."
Yeah, I mean, I would think a state by state would make sense if you want to take away guns from one state. Yeah, maybe you can, but not from another. But you also can't take your gun from Texas and bring it over to a no gun state. That makes sense to me.
I think
how would they be able to monitor that, though?
I mean,
you can't. I mean, just the same way they can't monitor if this guy got a freaking AR-15.
I mean, who's to say he got that legitimately?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but you just because it's not easy doesn't mean you shouldn't try to do it. Is my point.
Yeah.
But I'm also for guns, so I'm all over the place. What am I going to do?
But I think
as for Bisping and GSP last night, I'm all over the place here.
Good fights, by the way, last night. But one thing I was going to say about this whole how we could set up laws and training and things like that for certain people. If you were to implement something along the lines of you have to do training with your firearm by regulation, I think that's something that'd be a good idea. If you purchase a firearm, you have to, by law, take training before a longer purchasing process. I think would be a really good idea because, a lot of crimes that are committed are crimes of passion. Some guy catches his wife cheating on, text message conversation, and then he goes to Walmart, buys a gun, comes back, kills her, that sort of thing. I think that's the movie, heat of the moment and crimes of passion. I think if you had a longer purchasing process, and I think if you also were to implement training so that people know how to use firearms, say, someone, we talked about that whole physiological response you have when a moment of stress happens. So say someone comes at you, maybe that person with some training would be able to stop a mass shooting from happening and actually legitimately do that instead of just blindly firing or actually creating more chaos.
Yeah.
Aren't you kind of helping the people that want to commit crimes with the guns, though, if you're training them to shoot them correctly?
Turning them into...
Hey, well, here's the thing. That is true. But the thing is, if we're operating along the lines of an argument being that bad people are going to do bad things anyway, at least the government is showing that they're taking proper initiatives to make sure that they're doing all they can.
Right.
You know what I mean? That no one can go, "Oh, we need more gun control." Well, look what you're doing.
Right.
You can't really help it if you're checking all your boxes and idiots are still being idiots.
Yeah, that's been a good argument too. I think it makes sense to make it a little bit harder, and I mean, having some type of classes and stuff like that. I mean, it's just like it's a big decision. You can't a gun could fucking kill somebody. I mean, it's just like anything else. Like a vehicle. I mean, you got to go through classes and stuff. You can't just jump in a car and start driving. Yeah. I mean, you got to go through a lot of hoops before you can get your license. And even then, like some places are a lot more strict. There's some driving instructors that don't let you slide on certain things. They want you at that 10 and 2. Mine was like, no, you could just one hand, two hands. You can use your foot. I don't care as long as you're doing it's like, what? No, that's not okay.
That's legitimate.
Yeah, it's but it just makes sense to me. But I've never tried to buy a gun, so I don't actually know what hoops you have to go through. So I mean, maybe there are a lot of regulations that I don't know about. But from the looks of it, and I mean, seeing stuff like this, them shooting at a church from a 26-year-old kid that just decided to light up a church for whatever reason. How did he get the gun? And why AR-15? Why you gotta be able to get an AR-15? What's wrong with just having a pistol?
Yeah, that's true. It's crazy too because I was watching Ben Shapiro talk with Piers Morgan. It's kind of a famous clip where he goes against Piers Morgan on the issue of gun control and kind of what that would have to do with mass shootings. It was kind of around the time of Sandy Hook, I believe. But he was talking about how the vast majority of shootings that happen in this country are actually done with handguns. The vast majority, if you're looking at the amount of people that died. I pulled up some stats over here. They said they did a study between 99 and 2013. So this only gotten worse since then, especially with Chicago and all that.
Yeah.
But there were 464,000 odd total gun deaths in 15 years. You'd be surprised that 60% of those were suicides. So 270,000 were suicides. There were about 10,000 unintentional deaths. So you're looking at over 60% of it being self-inflicted stuff. And then they were talking about how of the 174,000 odd deaths that were all either homicides, but the vast majority of them were using handguns, not assault weapons. But the issue is the assault weapons can do so much more damage.
It's a lot more at a shorter period of time.
Yeah. Do you not like? I mean, we've all played video games and stuff. Would you rather have a handgun? Why is the handgun the backup plan?
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't go into Call of Duty zombie mode with a pistol. You're done.
No, unless you're a total G.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, I think, is that how many of these shootings have been legally owned firearms?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Look at Vegas.
Legal or illegal, it's the fact that the guns are out there. That's I think what the actual problem is.
I mean, I know it's not real, but I mean, Sons of Anarchy, they did gun dealings that way. I mean, who's to say that isn't real?
Oh, that's definitely for sure.
So, I mean, if we're gonna have gun regulations and stricter laws, I mean, who's to say
the whole point is to make it harder for them to get them. You're taking it from a 10 to an 8, and that's still progress at some point. And then hopefully it would go from an 8 to a 6. I'm just from a scale of 1 to 10 is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But and that's my point of view is you shouldn't just not do something just because it's not going to help right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, it might not happen for us. It might not happen for our kids, but maybe their kids will have less shootings and stuff like that. So it's more of it's not a quick fix. It's not like just ripping off a Band-Aid. And it can't be like that. It's got to be like a long process, a long
will be a long process. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with the advent of technology. I think they're going to find a way to almost like Minority Report it in the next 150 years. They're going to use AI to like control everything. We're not going to have any privacy and all that. And they're going to be able to tell who has guns. And they're going to be able to stop things before they happen. It's going to be crazy.
10 years from now, God, it's going to be a crazy world for sure.
But yeah, it's like, I just can't, I still like, we haven't really talked about Vegas, on a podcast. We've talked about it like amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the biggest thing is people, especially people who don't have any background in growing up with firearms and just see firearms as a total evil. They see a horrible tragedy like this. And it's mind boggling how many people died in Vegas. And now we're having these tragedies. I mean, that guy hit those people with the truck. I mean, it's just mass people, or the van, just mass people just being killed in these massive quantities. And so the argument for gun control is getting this huge groundswell under it of just all these people saying, see, if all these guns were illegal, this wouldn't happen. But here's the thing. If we do that, if we do make the guns illegal, what are they going to say when the first mass shooting happens and it's 10 times worse?
Yeah.
After it's still going to happen. That's what I wish people could see that. Like the people that are arguing for gun control, it's going to happen still after there's gun control.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's no way to prevent it. Like you said, bad people are going to do bad things. It's not
mentally unstable people.
And who's to say the next mass thing is going to be a shooting? It could be something else. And then you're just going to have to regulate something else. I mean, look at the Boston bombing.
Yeah.
That wasn't gun related, but it took out tons of people.
Yeah.
I can't think of the numbers.
Ruined hundreds of people's lives. Yeah. Hundreds.
And that wasn't even gun related. That was a terrorist issue. Yeah.
But you look all over the world. You look at what, it's mainly suicide bombings in other parts of the world. It's not mass shootings because they don't have guns available to them there. Look at the guy who drove the truck through the crowd in Paris. I mean, or in, maybe it was Nice, but it was in France somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of countries where guns are illegal and terrorist attacks, which is what these are. I mean, whether it's a white person or a person from another country, it is a terrorist attack. We have this terrorist thing as being it has to be a guy in a freaking veil and, chanting Allah Akbar. But no, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, a terrorist could be a white dude from the South that's mentally unstable. That's still a person creating terror. And these terrorist attacks are going to happen with whatever weapons these guys have. I mean, gosh, Jason Bourne killed a guy with a pen in a movie. I mean,
and don't you dare try to regulate my pens.
Skills.
No ballpoint.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing about it is regulations are not. It's going to happen. It's just sad that it has to happen, and it's sad that they're looking for some type of political thing to take the focus of the actual tragedy that's happening instead of talking about the families that are affected or what we could do to help those people out. They're sitting there saying, "Oh well." How do we take away their guns so this doesn't happen again? It's
so our team wins. It's so our team wins.
Yeah,
that's what it is. They're capitalizing on the grief of people. They're capitalizing on. They're literally standing on top of these people, standing on them and saying, "Look, this is why we need to do this." But all it's really doing is furthering the agenda of the people that are pushing for it. Mm-hmm. And the sad part is, most of our country doesn't realize that, and it's it's kind of sad.
So that ends our Twitter trend. But with that, the shooter, I guess, got identified. His name is Devin Patrick Kelly, 26-year-old guy from Texas.
They always have three
middle
names.
name involved.
They always have three names. Oh my gosh.
That's why I don't have a middle name, because I'm not a terrorist. Jesus.
Damn.
Danny, I think we're
No,
potential.
don't you put that on me, Ricky, Trevor, Bobby. No. Jeez, man. God, some people, if you could just, that's the thing. If you get to if there's an afterlife and all that shit, we've talked about that. I want to know what's in people's minds. That is the most fascinating thing to me in the world. I want to know what makes people like the Vegas shooter, makes this fucking retard, make them do this stuff. Why do they do this? Why do they do this? Something's wrong with their brains, right?
Most frustrating thing in the world is when you have these mass shootings like the Vegas, Mandalay Bay, and then this Texas one, or even there was the New York truck. The New York van. They're never alive afterwards. So it's super selfish, ruins so many lives, and nobody knows why.
There's no closure. I mean, that is something that, as this day and age especially, we want closure.
Yeah.
We want to know what happens
now.
at the end of the show. We want answers. And I think that was what was so frustrating about Vegas is, it's like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, do we have an answer? Why he did it? No,
Not that
we
I
don't.
know of. I just found out his name, so it's still ongoing. But the guy's dead, so who knows?
But Vegas as well. Did we have a motive for that?
No.
Well,
at
what's
all.
crazy is that we have the Vegas shooting, this shooting. The Vegas shooting happened over a month ago. We still have no idea what's going on, but the van, we know the motive, we know why he did it and everything. It's just like, well, how do we know everything about this guy's name, where he came from, how he got to the country?
Because the minute he says he's a terrorist, everybody digs in real deep and knows exactly everything
Yeah, but
about
the
him.
Mandalay Bay, he killed more people. You think there'd be more of a hunt for
Shows you where the
information.
priorities are at,
Well,
man.
it was such a weird setup of emotions around that, the country music shooting there at Mandalay Bay. And there were people saying the weirdest things on Twitter. Like, you had people, that one lady, I don't know which company she was from, but she talked about how it wasn't a big deal because country music fans usually are proponents of the Second Amendment, so they're just getting their just desserts,
Yes.
basically, I'm paraphrasing, but
Good
she tweeted
Lord.
that. She got fired, which, great, her company did
Yeah.
that, because how dare you say that about people that are dead? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
wounded and scarred for life, emotionally and physically. Like, just, how do people have the nerve to say that? Because you're on the other team. You know what I mean? Like, you're on the other team. How dare you?
It's scary when you see people's true colors sometimes. And especially when it's live and on the internet. you don't want to see that. Man, but yeah, not having the closure from it, it's like seeing that little to be continued on the bottom of the screen and you just lose
And
your
never
shit.
and the show getting canceled. Like Firefly all over.
I was just gonna say that. But yeah, man, it's rough. And like you said, yeah, I wish there was a way to, even in the afterlife, to be able to just hear these guys' stories and be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, just all throughout history. I mean, we've had so many tragedies throughout history that don't even involve guns or anything, but just the answers and just knowing, like, we know what's inside our minds, but do we know what's inside their minds? Like, what is going on to where they feel the need to do this compulsive violence to kill people and end lives and create suffering? Like, we have that empathy where we would go, like, even if we really hated someone, we'd be like, oh, this is going to affect so many people around this person that don't deserve this.
Well, with the Vegas guy, apparently his whole family was super weird. I guess
his brother.
His brother's got super weird, like, mental issues and stuff. Did you see, like, his interview was super odd, and then something came out about him.
His other brother, child pornography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pedophile.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Holy crap.
red flag.
By the way, that dude, the dude that got arrested for the child thing,
Yeah.
you look at him, that dude looks like he would be involved with that shit.
I'm telling you, man, people need to watch more SVU. You'll catch those red flags a lot quicker. Man, it's tough, man. It's tough.
I think it's a huge mental illness thing. In all honesty,
is.
I think it
has to be, right?
it's mental imbalance, it's mental illness, because people just don't do this stuff. They just don't.
Maybe it's a way to make them feel like empowered, like they control people's lives in a sense.
Yeah.
The God complex.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I'd love to get the toxicology report on what these people were on, and then also, like,
That's the thing. What if
See
they
if
weren't
there's
on
tumors
anything?
in
They're
their
just
head.
freaking. Just this is the way they are.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Vegas
But
thing was
they've
weird
proven
because
that.
his brother was saying, like, the guy's winning all the time. So, like, you would think he had all this money, he was good off, and then he goes and does something like that. I mean,
people, like,
and then
we
how do you
really
afford-
don't know secrets, though. Like, we really don't know, like, deep, dark secrets about people.
I want to
behind
know how
closed
he
doors.
afforded all those guns, because that's a lot of fucking guns.
there was over 10 guns,
Yeah.
and the ammo.
It's just not cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, ammo's very expensive.
And how he snuck all that shit in there too? How do you sneak all that in there?
I don't know. The Vegas one's still too complex for me to even understand. And the more I look into it, the more I just don't understand it.
And I just go, you know what? I have to like step away and just go, you know what? This is just a horrible tragedy. That's what it is. A horrible tragedy and just mindless. You know, just like why?
For no
all
reason.
These people.
Man, talk about just a little woo-saw. Grass is greener on the other side.
I think more
have
people,
a bowl of cereal in the morning.
More people need to freaking do mushrooms or something.
Yeah,
find some common ground. Like, see that we're all one. Come on, people.
I think it's just, man, it would go a long way if people just took a moment for themselves every morning and just realize what they actually have. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there, maybe they feel like they don't have a lot, but there's probably someone that's trying to connect it to them, and it just takes a minute to realize, like, okay, it's not that bad.
You're like, he always says there's this infinitesimal tiny little blip that we call Earth in the middle of this huge universe, and you happen to be one of the people that has the magical quality to be alive.
Yeah.
You have this miracle of life, and we don't realize how lucky we are to have it. We take it for granted.
It takes a big person to even realize that, because everybody has bad days and everybody snaps and stuff, but then it's the little things. Fucking just go to a dog park one day when you're having a bad day and just chill. You'll probably leave there just so happy. Maybe unless you're allergic to dogs, then you go to dog parks.
Just in that case, go to a park and lay out a blanket and just lay it and look up at the clouds. Like, just meditate for a second.
Don't tell his brother watching all those kids. I mean, come on.
I don't know.
It's just say there had to be kids at the park.
You're at a park, man.
There's solutions for everyone, though. That's what we're getting at. Jeez. There's a greener grass for someone everywhere. Yeah. But I think that's a good way to leave it, man. Child pornography. Don't go to a park. No,
we're not leaving it on that one. That's not a good note.
Let's sign off with find your happy place.
Yeah,
it's a good one. I like it. That's all for today's episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast on SoundCloud or iTunes to get all updates on future content. And just remember, it's not important who's right or wrong, but it's always important to ask why.